Let's please take a seat. I know it's difficult. Seems we're talking about many meters of distance from the coffee table to the working table. But please take a seat. We're going to continue with the same dynamics. We're going to change locations a bit. This is the advantage of this venue of La Terminal, the factory of creative industries in Bilbao. This open space has been designed so that people flow, ideas flow, and for creativity be unleashed, and for creativity to find its way to surface and conversations. And conversations are perhaps most fun, right? And right now, we're going to devote some time to conversations, to sense making dialogues, to be more exact. This doesn't mean that previous dialogues haven't had sense, not at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that now, in a more structured fashion, we're going to continue engaging in a discussion regarding everything that is happening. And we're going to meet at T2 to continue with our dialogues, with our conversations.
You can bring your coffee here back to the table and have it with us, because we now move into sense making. And while you're doing that, we just want to have a look at what Vivian has been drawing. So we have been, actually, the speech you just heard was live drawn by Vivian, and we had moments where we could see it on the screen, and maybe we can see it again on this screen. And I also wonder if you can have a camera that would go towards Vivian, so we can briefly hear from her. So this is what she's been drawing, and she told me there's layers and layers that she has been actually drawing. Capturing some of the essences live during the speech. In this case, we didn't see it during the speech, but you can see here some of the patterns that she's been coming up with. And I'm just very curious to hear a little bit from Vivian. Yes, it would be really great. Just maybe if you want to speak a little bit to what you've drawn so far, and maybe also what you see is the value of drawing live. So while somebody's speaking, this element of projecting while somebody's speaking, what would you see as the value of doing it this way? And what are the elements that you have now captured so far?
In the digital space versus
yes
on the wall. Well, I guess with Nancy, the speaker, it's very much we're sort of embracing the evolving of what technology is allowing us to do something that is, in terms of bringing a lot more creativity and bringing in, so the things that when we're analog, we have a space, but with that, there's different layers. And then live drawing is like, I can actually, there's a little bit of just playing in the back and forth, and you can be a little bit non-linear. And life it's because you're, I'm not quite sure how to express it.
What I understand is that while you were drawing, this is your iPad that we see here live, just for people that see this for the first time, and that things are shaping up, right? So you're adding shapes and you're adding layers, and you actually can move the image. So the structure of the image will change over time as you're doing it.
Because when the speaker is speaking, things are moving as well. So there's certain things that I can shift it, like the position and all that, and then adding in, there's layers as in like images. So I also integrated my environment, where if you see it in the back, there's images of the lights and the keyboards and like the technology that is sort of enhanced, and sort of how bring that into part of the presentation as well.
And what would you see as the value? So if someone is listening to a speech, and this can be actually shown while somebody is speaking as well. I mean, now it was not the the appropriate thing because we had so many images already from Nancy, but it's possible to show it also next to somebody speaking. So I wonder what for you is the value of a participant being able to watch as you're drawing and as it emerges, as you're drawing and the structure actually takes shape.
For me, it's a different it's perspectives. It goes into when she mentioned about the lens, is because it's almost like bringing in an extra perspective. So when someone's speaking, we're looking at that perspective, and then with the visual, as this happens, something else is also happening, which is us ourselves, how we perceive it and how others perceive it. So in a way, it's happening at the same time. So it's just bringing in this different lenses and different perspectives. So understand that it's not just one. We're not looking at one lens. We're not just with the speakers, but everyone else. There's an energy. There's a flow. There's all these emotions, which is also mentioned. It's happening at the same time. So I think that's what I would see. I don't know if it's a benefit, but it's something just different.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really beautiful because you can kind of see things shape up. And it's also a bit more vulnerable maybe for the person actually drawing, because you see things taking shape. It's not fully finished yet, but you see actually how the evolution of what you're building, right? And of your own sense making as you're doing the drawing. So I wonder, do you want to maybe say a couple of words to what you have drawn here and how this came to place, the drawing that you have created now about Nancy's speech? What was the element that stood out for you as you were listening to Nancy?
Well, I guess what I'm seeing, I mean, what I'm seeing right now, like the data, it's quite big, the word data, but how we see data itself, how we define that data. Mm-hmm. Data can be numbers, yet there's data, which is also the elements or who we are as human. And then and she mentioned, I guess for me, it's very much, it brings in how do we coexist as human, and like, I guess it's placing, there is that what I'm seeing right now there. She also mentioned about the customer experience, the culture. In a way, we see these two lenses. You look at it, it's like it's a little bit of a lens as well. So that's what the pattern I'm seeing that goes back to what lenses are we looking at? Are we looking from the lens of a human? Are we looking at the technology? Or how do we play that role? How do we balance that? And how we coexist? And for what we're having in the future, where we're going, how we evolve together.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. A big applause, please, for Nancy. So now we will go back to the listening lenses. So you've been listening to a specific lens, and we will now invite you here in the room to meet in a moment, to meet your lens buddies. So those that have been listening to the same lens. And the same will happen for our online participants. In a moment, you will end up in breakout rooms and where you will meet people that were listening to the same lens. And of course, I know that for the challenges, you will have two different groups. One is for the Spanish speakers and one for the English speakers. And the invitation would be for the online participants to capture some of the insights. So to bring together your sense makings, what you've been listening to, and to see what are the patterns that are emerging here. So as we're listening from the perspective of opportunities, from the perspective of challenges, from the perspective of the witness, and the perspective of the paradoxes, whatever lens it is you had, you picked, or you received, the invitation is to do some sense making, to listen to each other and to go a little bit deeper into the lens and to see what did you discover and what can you learn from each other as you're sharing what you have been listening to. So doing some sense making around your specific lens. And for us here in the space, we have been setting up some pin boards here. So we have here the board for opportunities. So in a moment, we will invite all opportunities lens takers to gather around here. You can form smaller groups if you like, or you can decide to stay all together. You will have around 20 minutes to be exploring together what did we actually identify here? So what are the opportunities that become visible for the community of visual practitioners? The same will happen for paradoxes over there. You see another pin board there with paradoxes. And then we have over here the challenges pin board. So that's for the challenges lens buddies. And then we have the witness area over here. And now here in the space, we might have some Spanish speakers or English speakers. My guess is that most likely there will be a lot of English happening here. If you are a Spanish speaker and you need support with translation or the other way around, please ask for help. And if you know both languages, please be the bridge so that we can have a good conversation between all of us and be inclusive in that way with languages as well. And we will then meet back here again online and in real life in 20 minutes time. Yeah. So enjoy your conversations. We meet again in 20 minutes and we will be hearing back from each of the lenses. What did you discover? So we will need one person that will feed us back. What did you discover afterwards?
Cualquier ayuda que sea requerida.
If you need help, please do not hesitate to let us know. We will be happy to give you a helping hand. Please don't hesitate to let us know if we can be of help.
So you can draw and add your insights to the pin board.
Recordad todo el material.
Well, the material has been prepared for it to be used as yet another resource to facilitate your conversations. So you can
Maybe somebody can
use
just
the markers
share
and all the
where they can
materials that we
harvest
have
this
made
online, and
available
then
to
I will
you.
open the breakout
So
groups.
20 minutes as explained, and then we will recap together.
The link to the harvesting online in the chat. So please feel free to open the harvesting chart. And if you open it, so you can put your ideas, your drawings, or your key learnings in the Miro board, please, so that we have the results at the end. So we are going to have a round after these breakout sessions so that you are able to present your ideas and your results. And now I think it's time. Oh, this link is today too. Let's see. I think we have another. It's day 3. Is it? I closed it. Sorry. Too many files open. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So if that's fine, if we have the link for the harvesting, we can start. And I give the go for Sven.
Thank you. Here you will go. Bye bye. See you in half an hour.
Conversaciones en torno a cada
Different conversations, the conversations of the different groups, conversations from those 4 perspectives, 4 lenses, in order to see what meaning, what sense we've made, what meaning we have drawn from the different perspectives. And we will do so as well with the online participants.
So we're slowly coming back. And if you have your board at the back, please bring your board with you, at least a little bit closer, so that we can also have a camera on your board. And it would be great if at least one person that will share some of the insights would be standing next to the board, so that we know who will be sharing the insights from your group. We need at least one person next to each board. And maybe the board at the back could come a bit closer. I think it's the paradox one. The paradox lens buddies could come a little bit close and take the board with them, so we can hear your insights. Just giving us
continúan trabajando, pero si diría que es, yo desde aquí no soy capaz de verlo, yo necesito otro tipo de lentes.
Okay, can't see from the distance. There's a panel back there. It's hard for me to read. So the panel back there, back of the room. If you could please bring it closer. I know you're still sketching. I know you're still working on it. But bring it forward.
Participants are back. Maybe we can also put them on the screen together with Sandra. because we want to hear, there was group work
Ahí.
happening here in the four lenses, but there's also group work happening online. So we want to hear very briefly now from each lens.
Thank you.
What really, really stood out. So maybe one or two things that really stood out when you're exploring even further your specific lens. And my suggestion would be to start with the challenges. So where's the challenges group? It's over there at the back. So you would need one person at least, it could be also two, that was in this challenge group that would stand up and stand next to the board and very briefly tell us what really stood out when listening to Nancy from the challenges lens. Who would be willing to be that person? Oh, wonderful. We have Reka over there.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can give them a microphone as well so that they can briefly tell us about what really, really stood out in your conversation about challenges.
Yes, it's already working. Yeah, we really admired the presentation, how well it was executed, very professional, a lot of valuable content. And at the same time, because the title was High Touch, we were missing a little bit the touch. And still we found it a great presentation. So that was the main topic of our talk. And there was a nice metaphor. Maybe one of the important things was there's a lot of value in it, but don't take everything for granted. And that's what Nancy yourself was saying. We don't know how the future is going to look. We can think about it, but we don't know how it's going to look. And also we saw a lot of, maybe as a summary, we saw a lot of value in digital tools. So accept them as tools, use them as tools, but still it will remain a challenge to keep in a real touch. So let's also value the imperfection and see how we can keep the connection between the heart, the hands, and the head. That's one of the core things of our trade. So that's what comes to my mind. You anything to add?
And so basically our role as visual practitioners is kind of the mission of keeping the human touch through our imperfection, through our pace of working, not making the whole visual practice the happy meal, like a quick offer, but really keep the heart and soul of the practice.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We're now very curious to also, an applause.
Applause.
And we're now very curious to also hear from our online challenges listeners who were having a Spanish conversation. And maybe we can put them on the screen to hear what they identified was really important.
Marta is talking for the Spanish group.
Yes, okay. Hello, everybody. I'll try to translate a little bit main issues of our conversation. We were talking about getting the human in the middle. So trying to make the complex of innovation look to what is really human. Because we face that we have an excess of information. We agree with the speaker in that. And we think that less is more. I don't know if it's the proper translation, but it is like that. We were discussing that we have too much technology, too many. It's not necessary too much. And we have to look. Sometimes it's easy to take the right decision and how to integrate our the differences between them in terms of not all of the customers have the same comprehension of what technology is and how to use it. So try to make easy the complex, make the complex easy. This is more or less. And we were discussing how to draw in the metaverse. This problem also.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for these insights. And maybe we can give them an applause as well. And next up will be the opportunities group over here. So maybe you can have a microphone and one person at least that can give us a little summary. And you might be seeing here a live drawing happening as well. We'll get to that in a moment. That's people who's actually drawing here at the back, and we'll get to him in a moment. But just wanted to also draw your attention to the live drawing that's happening. Over to you.
So, like always with opportunities, they are really close to the challenges. That's normal. So I'm going to repeat a little bit what the other people have been saying. So since every company is dealing with that 5-eye customer, I think there's a great opportunity in articulating much better what our role can be. So bringing simplicity, complexity, making it more human, more emotional, provoking interaction and things like that. Maybe we are too much talking about our business, our talents, and maybe not enough translating it into the needs of the business. So I think that's an opportunity to show the value of our work. And then on the other hand, in the transforming part, I think we think there's an opportunity in making that part or maybe shaping that future. So indeed, like how do you draw in the metaverse? We can wait till someone invents that, but maybe we can try experimenting things and try to see how it works and not wait till someone asks, but show how it can be done. Imagine that we can do that. So that's something. And then we also talked, and I will stop because otherwise, being the bridge between people and industries, making the human and the tech, the touch and the tech, be that bridge between both. Because indeed, tech feels cold, our work feels warm. How can we make the bridge between both? That was a thing that we got out of the conversation, and much more, but way too much. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And online group to also share with us what opportunities did they identify. Maybe
we have a lot of opportunities here, and so I ask Michaela or Tim, both of you, or just one of you, please. Could you? Okay.
Is there someone?
So this is the case opportunity.
Uh-huh.
We saw somebody just now. There you are.
Here you are.
Tim, let's do this together. I tried to upload my something. I'm fighting with the technology here, but what we had was a really good exchange in our group about witnessing. It is witnessing, so something is going.
Let's continue with witnessing then.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry. Let's go on with witnessing.
Tim.
Yeah, sure. I'm just looking at what we created in our Miro space. But so some of the conversations was tech is the tool; it should not be the end result. And then for remembering keeping it in perspective, is the data serving us, or is it the other way around? Like, how do we maintain perspective on this and the value? And then another question was who is the us that is being served? So it's keeping the conversation around the human value, I think, again. And another content idea was around empathy, embracing the fear of the unknown that's going to be there for us as practitioners and for many other people and professions as well. And so bring our empathy, that what we bring as visual practitioners and the practice of the visual work creates a space for empathizing, and let that be a value proposition in this context. It gives some space. And then I think our visual work, our hand-on visual work, can provide some familiarity and comfort and trust in the uncertainty due to technology. And then, Michaela, you want to add some more? I'm just sharing.
Yeah, we tried by drawing. We tried not to stick with the pictures and the facts, but to listen to the feelings or the patterns beyond. And some patterns that I found was the curve going up, 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 and I felt that this feels very unhealthy, because it feels a disconnection going up, up, up. Because I felt back on a picture. It means like maybe disconnecting. So for me, the pattern that feels much more healthy is the curve going up and down and up and down. Maybe this is what innovation needs, is to dream and to land and to reconnect and to dream and to use the senses, but the real senses again. And to have ideas and to doubt and to create and to destroy. So the curve up seems to be, to me, like it's not innovation. It's a cancer, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for the input. An applause, please.
Thank you.
And maybe just to continue with the opportunities, maybe we could bring up the opportunities online group, just to finish with the opportunities where we can see.
Okay, thank you.
People
We
join.
had a little chat party, and for this reason, we were very confused.
Okay.
I have Ariane for opportunity. Could you please put Ariane in spotlight? Thank you.
Here. Am I on it now? Okay.
We can see you in any case. There you are.
Do you see? I don't know if you just hear me or if you also
Yes.
see the Miro board I share.
We can hear you perfectly, and we'll see the Miro board in a moment. Yeah.
Okay, so you see the Miro board. So basically, we fully agree with the on-site group on many things. We started saying that at the beginning of the presentation there was a hand, and somebody said that, you know, spontaneously they said what is missing in this hand would be a marker. But we kind of talked about the human element we of course bring, and if you look at the if you look at the 5 eyes, there is many things we can actually contribute to, and we were some trainers but also graphic recorders, so all visual thinkers but in different fields. So if we look at the last one, for instance, which was the last one again, it was the influencer, right? So basically graphic recording is something we can use very well for that. And then we have this the impatience, you know, if you do live recording, I mean, there is no place for impatience. You get the product just at the end of the presentation. So also in the impatience also for the people in trainings to help them to use the markers themselves. But basically the perfectly imperfect, the fact that we kind of are customized, that we develop things with the participants in progress, that and that's actually the human connection is there. I mean, at the very end of the presentation, she kind of insisted on the fact that the human has to be in the center, and we certainly can contribute to that by using also all the tools which are existing, but the marker is the key.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And an applause, please, for this group as well. And maybe now we could go to the witness group here, just to kind of finish the witness lens and see what else you discovered beyond what was already shared. And we need a microphone, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so the patterns group or the witness group was very critical. We have a very controversial and lively discussion on the patterns. We started, what were the patterns or the beliefs or the ideology behind what we've heard in the keynote. And we somehow discussed the role of people in the world that was presented to us. And there were some voices in our group that said, as humans, we felt like not subjects within this technological world, but as objects, as consumers, as people that provide data, and this data is used to sell us more. So we asked ourselves whether there could be a shift in, let's call it ideology, or in the way of thinking about technology, not technology as a fate, or technology as the solution, but technology as one tool or a set of tools that we can use to do something which we have to develop. because we had the impression, looking at all the new ideas, the inventions, and so on, that this is just coming no matter what happens. But in a way, we are, on the other hand, able to shape it and to decide whether we want augmented reality, if we want algorithm-driven content on the websites and shops online that we see. So this was a very interesting discussion, because we just touched somehow the foundations of what the world in the future can be. And also we talked a little bit about the blind spots that were there, or that we just witnessed, like what do algorithms do with the perception of people? What do algorithms do, like including or excluding certain people, depending on what we've been talking about yesterday, about the color of your skin, being male or female. So this is something that we would like to just go on discussing and go on thinking of, but being as an active part, taking technology as a tool and possibly re-owning technology, because we felt, or at least myself, I feel like technology is provided by a few huge tech companies that are profit oriented. And what would happen if technology was society owned? Would it be different? Would it be better or worse? So this is an open question we'd like to foster.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. An applause, please, for this group as well.
Interesting.
And while we're getting set up for the paradoxes, we could maybe see online what the online paradox lenses have discovered, and maybe just briefly highlight one paradox that really stood out from your conversation.
We have
We have
two.
two.
Flavia and we have Kati.
Ah, perfect.
Wait a second.
I think we spoke about a lot of things we already listened here, but one of the points is connected to what we just heard, whether we are going to be the ones who think and who produce and who create, or just receive. And that's where we want to be. When we teach someone to think visually, we are teaching them to be owners, to be creators. And sometimes people just want to be watching, and we think we need to use this power we have to bring people to think and act and own more. So we talk about a lot of things, but that's what is more live here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. An applause, please, for the Paradox group as well. And now to our La Terminal Paradox buddies.
Test. Hello. We've also spoken a lot about the things that we've touched on today. One of the things that we were but discussing the paradox was zooming completely in and seeing opportunities very close up. But when you zoom out, that you kind of see the overview, which is what we do in our work. We look at the system, we look at the people in the room, we look at how things work together. And this is something that we assume that a computer can't do or an algorithm can't do. So this is where we see our work still existing, where maybe a database of pictures that you can use and upload is something that part might be put out of business. Another thing that we really touched upon is that we are in the room, and then we can be an ethical compass, because when you program algorithms and systems like that, if you don't program and understand the bias that you program in, or the ethics that you put into the system, this is something that we can do, and this is what makes it really human, right? Another thing that we put in was the low tech versus the high tech. In this world, we currently assume that everybody has access to technology, and trying to find out these different things, how to put drawings in the metaverse, but not everybody has access to technology. And we might actually move into a world where
due to climate change, many more people don't have access to technology possible. And there, the pen and paper really will persevere. I'm just going to popcorn a couple of other paradoxes. Well, we've spoken about top-down versus grassroots, power versus resistance, and what about love? So when we walk into the room, when we work with people, we bring the soul, and this is something that a computer can't do yet. And I'm going to put it there.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for this. And while we're getting the last microphone over to people who's been drawing over there, yes, maybe we are a little bit out of time because we want to really send you off to Discover Bilbao as well. But it would be really lovely just to hear from Nancy how it is for you to listen, to hear feedback this way from a speech that you've been giving. If there's anything that really stands out for you, like how does it feel?
First of all, I wish I could have this every single time that I speak, because this is very valuable for me to get every sort of feedback, whether that's positive or negative. The way it comes, it touches your heart, is important for me to hear. So thank you for that. Few things that came into mind and that I encounter very frequently when I speak is that there's always people embracing technology to the max, and then there's others fearing technology, and some others are maybe even disgusted by technology and where it's going to go. And that's the resistance I sense a lot of times. And I think that's good, because it means that you think about it. And when you think about all the things I've said, then I've achieved my goal.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. A big applause, please, also to Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
And you've been seeing people drawing, and he's actually sitting there at the back. And we just wanted to very briefly hear from him, because he's using this very curious device. If you could just very briefly explain to us, what is this kind of camera that you've been using? And also, what is it that you've been innovating over there?
So yes, thank you. This is an IPEVO camera, document camera. It's the first time I've used it in my life. So they just told me, yeah, go there and draw, and let's see if we can integrate other things. I've started by, with the harvesting. It's quite nice. You can have different objects like that. You can, I've made a little bee here that can kind of go around from the flowers and harvest the different elements. Now we can pass, what was it? Challenges was the first one. Here as well, I took some elements from the challenges, like little traffic light and an obstacle. Some of the challenges is that we're missing the touch, and we should put the heart and soul in it. We should not take everything for granted, that less is more, and to try to make the complex easy and to keeping the connection, but always never forget to have the human in the middle so that you can take away the challenges. Now to the opportunities here as well. I've done here the opportunities wheel. Now, can somebody hold the mic for me? I need the both ends. Here as well, opportunities that start from here. That we have a better articulation. We should have an opportunity to better articulate a role, that we can shape the future, that we should have the opportunity to experiment more, and being the bridge as well towards this new future, and that if we have our markers in our hand, we are all influencers. So, an opportunity. Now to the patterns here. Where's the little car? Here. So, to the patterns, we should follow patterns that to differentiate the tools and the result, that we can contribute to this to this dream, to the up, to this exponential growth. We should embrace the fear of the unknown and jump out. That the role of the people now is just an object, but we should bring empathy to bring the value proposition and increase it, and also be aware of our blind spots. Okay, here behind the little plant. And finally, to the Oh yeah, no, actually here I didn't have place anymore, so I continue on the table that we should shift to be an active part of the future. So, and
Wonderful.
to paradoxes here as well. I took the little bird in a cage metaphor of before. You can have a little bird that can fly out, and that should know that are we creating or are we just receiving? But there again, I think the marker in the hand can be a solution, like the paradox between zooming in and zooming out. That we can be an ethical compass. Paradox related to access to technology, and then what about love? So, and away goes the.
Great. Thank you. What a wonderful toy. And just so you know, you can win one of those cameras in the raffle tonight.
Nos quedamos con la idea de ese último paso.
Okay, we're focused on the idea of that little bird, which is the cage day today, because many times we're talking about getting out of our own box, and in this case, it is getting outside the cage, and that's what we kicked off with this morning when we looked into all of these paradoxes. So, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for holding this conversation, with which, without a doubt, as promised initially, this is a very significant conversation. Right, we're running out of time. We're somewhat late, but very, very quickly, please allow me to make two announcements, things that we have to take into account.
We need to say goodbye to our online participants because they are off right now. So maybe we could get them on screen before we give the instructions and just wave a goodbye to them, and maybe they can wave a goodbye to us. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with us. Take care of yourselves this afternoon.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Bye. Ciao.
Nos despedimos porque
Okay, we're saying goodbye to these people because now in the next part of today's session or today's events is going to be on site. But where exactly? Well, we're going to be seeing Bilbao, and well, everybody, I suppose, have already expressed your preference and you've already registered for the tour. But in any case, we're going to have to make the most of this time. You have to go to T4 if you want to get your food boxes, your snack boxes or lunch boxes in such a manner that, well, we have to go to Terminal 4 to pick up your lunch boxes, and, well, you'll have to improvise along the way. But in any case, and this is a very important issue, please do remember that we have to leave the headsets or the receivers. You have to leave them in T1 because there are still, well, some people that have left their identity card with us, and what we want to have under our custody are the gadgets themselves, the receivers, the headsets. So please don't forget to hand them in. And then we will see you guys again at 3:30 at the Guggenheim Museum. And it's very important for you people to arrive on time because we have to go through registration process. So please, everybody, please be there at 3:30 at the Guggenheim Museum. And in the meantime, well, you're going to be carrying these leaves in Bilbao.
An acorn leaf, and you can see over there, this is where you can pick up your acorn leaf. And this is something very important because you will be creating art that will be exhibited in Guggenheim Museum.
Yes.
You will be walking around and exploring Bilbao, and invitation is to capture in whatever way you like what is shaping up. So what is shaping up for you? What is shaping up for our community? What is shaping up for our world? Anything what that might mean for you, and that might mean a drawing, or it might mean words, or anything that comes up for you. And when you arrive at Guggenheim, you will see some trees, like the Cariño tree that we have here with our pictures in the entrance. And you will be invited to actually attach your leaf to the tree, and that tree will stay exhibited at Guggenheim Museum.